Hello violinists, welcome to Prime Strings. I'm Henriette and this is lesson 17 in the violin class for beginners. And today we're going to learn how to play with slurs. And you can define slurs as two notes that are together on the same bow. So I'll show you how we're going to do that and we're going to practice it together in a moment. I start playing on the A string and I will play an A, which is half a bow. And then when I hit the middle of my bow, I'm going to put my first finger on the string. But my bow keeps traveling in the same direction, so you get it like this. So let's practice this together, shall we? So you start and play a long bow, but when you go past the middle of your bow, you place your first finger on the string whilst your bow keeps moving. So join in with me. Here we go. A, finger on. Keep your finger on now and take it away when you get to the middle of the bow. And let's do that again. A, finger. Keep your finger on and take it away in the middle of your bow. That's it. That's what slurs are, when you play two notes on the same bow. Now it may be that you still have a sticker or a little marker in the middle of the bow, and that is going to help you tremendously with this exercise. So if you have lost it or you have never put it on in the first place, do put a little marker in the middle of your bow so that you can see when it's time to put your finger on. Now this time we are going to learn to play a slur from the first finger to the second finger. So let's check your finger line, your thumb and your tennis ball. Let's get ready at the heel of the bow, and we're going to play first finger on A. Just test your note there. And then once we hit the middle of the bow, place your second finger on the string. Off we go. Two again. And again, same exercise. Okay, now it may be that you're totally confused and that your bow will want to go the other way the whole time. And that happens, so don't be afraid if that is you. You will get used to this, but maybe we should just practice it a little bit more. So now I want you to focus on that long bow. And let's trust that your finger will do this for you, okay? So let's test your first finger. And we're going to, in the middle of the bow, place our second finger, but now we're going to focus on the bow stroke. So finger one, focus on the bow. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Place your second finger. And now go back again. Two. Take your finger away. And let's do that again. Focus on the bow. Place your finger. Same finger. Take it away. Oh, there it comes. Now then, we can also play notes slurred when we go from one string to another. So now let's go on the D string, and then in the middle of the bow, keep traveling in the same direction, but go to the A string like this, look. Will you join me? Starting on the D string. A. And D. Well done. But we can do that as well between the G string and the D string. So let's go on G and do the same thing. Here we go. And go to D. D again. Shall we practice that again? G and D. Off we go. lastly, we've got the A and E strings. Now let's do this one upside down. So we're starting on the E string, then in the middle of the bow we go to A, we stay on A on the next bow stroke, and then we're going back to E. So start on E this time. Here we go. A and E. Let's do this one again. E. Awesome. So you now can play slurs with fingers and slurs with open strings. Really, really good. Now let's just try and be a bit more funky, and let's do this. So now we're going to play A1, A1 on one bow stroke, and then A1, A1 on the next bow stroke. So we have 4 notes in one bow. And I want you to really tap your first finger on the string, making sure that you stay on your fingertip all the time, so you don't go flat like that, but on your fingertip. And let's do 4 times, 4 notes on one bow, shall we? Can you join me? And that's it. And again. Awesome. Now can you play 2, 1, 2 on the same bow? I'll show you what I mean. So let's first test our second finger by playing A1, 2. You've got your second finger. So now we're going to play 2, 1, 2. In the middle of the bow is when we go to a first finger. And again, 2. One more time. And again. Impressive. Very, very good. Let's put your violin down. And now, we haven't done this in a long time, but I wanted to include some more bow exercises now, because your bow is getting more, your bow hold is getting better established. After all, you've been playing for quite a while now. So let's just recap and see if it's all still in its perfect position. So your middle finger and your thumb make this little imaginary ring. And this is how that ring still exists when you've got your bow in between those two. Then your ring finger comes down by the side of your middle finger. You've got a finger width space here. And your little finger sits on the side edge. Now, what may have happened is that your finger has gone over, or even worse, it's gone under. Now, all these things happen, you know. So let's see if we can get it on in the correct spot again, on the side edge there. Okay, now let's do some waves with your bow. And I want to find out if your wrist has become a bit more flexible in the course of your lessons. Lovely. And let's practice that balance again. Tip it over. I did some mint screen wipers. There we are. Lovely job. Very good. Now let's hold the bow upright and let's do some crawling. And we're going to crawl all the way to the point of the bow. Take it easy, slowly, step by step. There we are. And now let's go back up again, which for most people is the challenging part, because that heel of the bow is the heavier part of the bow. So you're going to have to lift it up, as it were, with your fingers. So take it easy, go step by step. And you might want to try and hold it as still as you possibly can, because if you start to move it, it gets harder and harder. Good job. Now when you've got back to the heel of the bow, See if you can get these two fingers nice and far over so that they're not up there, but you drop them down. See if you can drop your shoulder down as well. Lovely. Now, let's have a bit of a challenge today too. And what I'm going to do is tap my index finger. Can you do that? Can you tap your middle finger? Can you tap your ring finger? That's a tricky one, isn't it? And now for the real challenge, can you pick up your pinky and then place it again on the side edge? Pick it up, place it again. Pick it up, place it again. Really well done. Very good. Now let's have a look at our study in our book. So we're playing study number 2 if you have the red book on page 17. If you play from an older edition of this book, it's 8 to the number 3 on page 8. So let's pick up your violin. And I'll play this study for you first. A lovely study and not the easiest one to play. Although it contains lots of stuff that you are already able to play. Let's take a look now at the beginning of this study, and here you can see 2 minims or half notes. Each of these are played with the whole bow. Then you've got this semi-breve or a whole note here is also played with a whole bow. This is for 4 counts and these ones are 2 counts each. Now when we look at this bar here, we see a crotchet or a quarter note and then 2 quavers, and those are new notes. You've never played those before in this series. So these 2 notes here that have that little line, they're called 8th notes or quavers, and they go twice as fast as the quarter note or the crotchet. So if we have this note, da dum ba da dum, it will go like that. Da 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 dum bum. Now luckily, when you were practicing your slurring earlier in this lesson, we practiced this exact same thing. 2 1 2, all in one bow. Now then we have these notes and they have got half a bow. Okay, this altogether lasted for 2 beats, so you use, just like you did here on the 2-beat note, you use the whole bow here for all of this, and then when we get here we use the half bow again. Here we've got 2 crotchets, 2 quarter notes slurred together. Together they make up 2 counts, so they're also played with a whole bow. And this one is 2, and that one is 2, and that one is 2. And this one also plays with a whole bow and goes a little bit more slowly. So now we know how much bow to use for each of those notes. Let's now think for a moment about these notes here which have the slur. Now we have practiced this when we were practicing our slurring earlier on in our lesson. But a slur is indicated by a little curved line like that, and you can see another one here. Now earlier in our book there have been lots of slurs already in the music, but we have ignored them. But this time we are going to try and observe the slurs as well, you see. So all of this is played on one bow, and those two notes are also played on one bow. Let's give it a go and let's see how far we can get, shall we? And we're just going to play the first line first. So let's get ready. Correct left hand position, correct bow hold. After 4 we'll start. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slow bow. Awesome. Can we now take a look at the third bar? Now the third bar will start at the point of your bow, and let's just practice this bit. So only the third bar. Are you ready? Is your bow straight? Is your arm straight in front, or is your bow right here? Corrected if you were on the side. And here we go. And so you may have noticed on the first note, on the crotchet, the quarter note, I've gone to the middle of my bow. And now on the lower half of the bow, I'm playing 1, 2. And now I'm staying at the lower half here. That's what it is. Let's practice it again. Ready? And once again, let's start at the point of the bow and awesome. Now let's carry on. Wow. Now these last 2 bars are actually the start of a new section. So we're going to start now on the penultimate bar of the first line. And we're starting at the heel of the bow there. And let's go up to here. And you've perhaps noticed that there is a sequence here. We started at the start of this piece on an A, and this section that follows that we've just played is the exact same thing but a tone higher than before. So let's start on that same B again, shall we? And this is bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is bar 5. Ready? And I think you'll agree with me that we can practice the first bar of the second line a little bit more. So we're starting at the point of the bow again, so be careful that your bow arm is straight when you play there. 3 fingers, here we go. And good job. Shall we do it one more time? And super play. Let's put it all together now and let's go from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. very pleased with your progress there. So now let's explore the next 4 bars, and that is the rest of the second line. I'll play this section for you first. Noticed that this is 2 bars and then again the exact same 2 bars, and recognizing a pattern like that will help your playing, obviously, because you only have to learn 2 bars to be able to play 4 here. So will you join me? 3, 4. So shall we now go back to the beginning and join up to this point the first 2 lines? Here we go. Check over your left hand position, check over your bow hold, check over your stance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pleased with that. Super playing. So it gets a bit more intricate now, doesn't it? But you're managing great. Well done. Let's take a look now at the 3rd line. And the 3rd line are separate bows up to the 3rd bar of the 3rd line, where you get 2 notes slurred. We're just going to play to the end of the 4th bar of the 3rd line, which is the long A. And that's where we call it a day for today. So let's play this last section now. We're starting at the heel of the bow. 3, 4. That this piece is very clearly in 4 bar sections, and that's how music works very often, is that you get sections of an even number of bars, whether it be 2 bars, most of the time it will be 4 bars, occasionally it might also be 8 bars. And they are called phrases, and they're like sentences in when you read a book. So phrases in music are very similar. They include a section of notes, a selection of notes that somehow belong together and make sense together. So when we play it next for our last playing of this lesson, I'd like you to, in your head, see if you can shape this piece into 4 bar sections. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. awesome progress today. Really well done. Very good. So this is beginning to sound like proper music now, and I'm hoping you're enjoying this because I very much am, and I'm very much looking forward to going over the second half of this lesson with you in our next video. So until then, goodbye.